Hello and welcome to the Dixon's Family Day. Deborah D.E.E.P Mouton is an internationally known writer, educator, activist, performer, and poet laureate emeritus of Houston, Texas. Formerly ranked the #2 best female performance poet in the world, her work has appeared in Houston Noir by Akashic Press, Black Girl Magic by Haymarket Books, the Texas Observer, and Fjords Journal, and on such platforms as NPR, BBC, ABC, Apple News, Blavity, Upworthy, and across the TEDx circuit. She has served as a contributing writer to Texas Monthly and Glamour magazine. Heralded as a literary genius by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee in 2019, D.E.E.P's most recent poetry collection, Newsworthy, garnered a Pushcart nomination and was named a finalist for the 2019 Writers League of Texas Book Award and an honorable mention for the Summer Lee Book Prize. So please welcome Deborah D.E.E.P Mouton.
Yay! Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see you all, well, to virtually see you all. I'm so excited to just be able to spend some time celebrating families with the Dixon Gallery. And so thank you all for having me. I'm going to read a few poems and maybe talk a little bit and maybe just share some time, which I'm super excited to do. We all seem so far apart these days, and I think we're always trying to find a way to calibrate ourselves to what people call this new normal. And I do that by diving into my work. And so as a writer, I think I have this beautiful and unique ability of just being able to take words and wrap them around what we're all feeling these days. And so that's my hope to do today. The first poem I'm going to read for you is actually entitled The New Normal. And I wrote it right after we kind of started quarantine and started thinking through what my life had kind of turned into. You know, as a working mom, I found myself home very quickly with my two small children. And my coworkers quickly changed from being a classroom full of students and a room full of teachers to being my beautiful children. And with that beauty, though, comes struggles. Parents, you already know what's happening. And so I decided to write this poem that hopefully will bring you a little bit of joy in thinking through what our day-to-day has become, the new normal. I miss the days working remotely, a classroom warming with bodies, the chatter of violas and mariachi horns, a dance solo in the vast fifth floor steps, competent professionals a handshake away, fire alarms and intruder drills. Now my office is inside, full of miniature coworkers, small hands who leave Legos on the corridor stairs, who sing at the highest octaves during staff meetings, paint murals on the wall in permanent marker despite the boss's disapproval, the nuance of smiles, overwhelming joy. They come in early, return in terror through the night, always something interrupting my quiet time. One of the other managers complained to HR that one of the fledgling workers busted in on him while he was making light of work of the toilet, made some kind of comment. Now he won't stop saying the word poop in all of his office memos. He has also come to work naked on multiple occasions. HR keeps saying he's too little for real consequences. The other coworkers just laugh it off and turn my cubicle into a pillow fort, dedicated to unicorns and mermaids, slather my desk in glitter and Elmer's glue, make me wear a construction paper hat the entire day as punishment, make me sort laundry deliveries for the entire office, clean the spilled Kool-Aid out of the computer keys, go for all of their meals for the picky little eaters. There's a small bright side. Anonymous promotions have been handed out. No extra pay, just titles that none of the employees respect. Essentially just more responsibility, virtual visits, grading online, reports, data entry, dependable monotony coupled with unappreciation. But something to break through the tantrums, the endless requests for water or story times or cuddles or Eskimo kisses, or goodnight prayers or handholds, or requests to just not be left alone or petrified or worried that they will never see a beach or hug a friend or celebrate living or any of the things that we may lose if we decide to go back too soon. For For me, I think that this time has been a quiet one, despite, my children running around like crazy. It's been a time of reflection, a time to think about what the world could be, a time to consider what it has been. And in a lot of ways, it's been a time to just take a breath. And I think that the joy that we have in all of this quiet time is the ability to think about what the future is that we want to see and decide what are the things that we can do, the small things to connect with history and with, kind of what our future history will be in new ways. I find myself journaling a lot. I find myself thinking about the world and how it's shaped. And I find myself also just kind of playing with the idea of the future. And the next poem I'm going to read kind of does that as well. I had the opportunity of collaborating with Rice University here in Houston to think about taking some public responses and turning them into an absidiary poem, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's kind of going through the alphabet letter. So the first line starts with A, the second line with B, and so on. And so for me to be able to think about something about form that has to do with, the ABCs, something we all learned very early, and figuring out how do I talk about what we want to be in the future when it comes to using language. And so it's called Perhaps There Is No Sequel, and I hope that you enjoy it. An audience stands before me, below a clock whose hands tick backwards, chill ravaging my throat. I speak. Do you know what we used to be? Everyone becomes still, light bulbs with no flicker. Filament has forgotten the decades spent grasping our way from our own hate, healing powers of the human embrace. I have not forgotten what it was like to want justice. A long lost brother, all are waiting to come home. Kindness more myth than practice. Let us not forget that we have had a bad apple or two, mind you. We have replaced reproach with relationship. Never mind the need to be right. Our hands have built bridges in freedom's twilight, pulled each other onto even ground, questioned this country's cornerstones, realized what quicksand was beneath. Some would think that there is some arrival in that. Today, I beg you not to be seduced by fool's success. Unlearn what you think that you have mastered. Vanquish all that has been gained. There is a tide waiting, always waiting to turn back the hands. Xenophobia has too many lives to call it dead. Yes, history is a broken record. Zeal is dancing through every skip. A woman once told me everything, but I didn't listen until she was captive. Crisis in its own climate. Don't you hear the crest gaining strength? Each time our footing is sure, we find out how fickle freedom can be. God be with us this time. Here we are again, infinite paths forward, justice extending a hand, kindness more practiced than myth. Let us not slip in our own footsteps. Many have tried to stop the darkness from cycling back. Now we know that it is not the darkness, but our own desire to put a man's head to the ground. Please tell me you remember. Quaking streets and protest signs, restless homes full of fear, sounds of fists shattering silence. This time around, under this future sky, vast and all possible, we have a chance to not abandon hope or become a Xerox of the past. You have a voice that can reverse time's hands, a zephyr of change in your lungs. I was kind of taken by the idea that time is ever pulsing and ever moving. And in the idea that we think that, we always look around now, especially, and say, it's been so long, right? And we wonder when things will turn and change for the better. And I think that, being lost in the idea of time can be a tricky one sometimes and can maybe even make us think on occasion that this will never end, but it will. There will be a hope and there will be a way for us to return to each other and to spend time together. With the holidays upon us, I think all of us want to be close and we're cautious, much more so now, right, of what that means. And so I think that as we close out this year, right, and as we move into the holiday season, we have to find small joys. We have to find ways to prioritize family and to prioritize each other We have to keep each other safe, right? It's kind of our duty to do that, to look around us with compassion and with kindness, with the joy that even these times bring and the season brings, and figure out, how do I put a smile on someone's face? How do I ignite something in them that maybe they thought was gone? How do we keep things happy and playful, and realize that no matter how hard these times are, there will be a light to follow? And I had the joy of being able to collaborate again with the Society for the Performing Arts Houston and create a visual poem, which is available on my website, livelifedeep.com, and to create a piece that speaks more to this idea. And I didn't know it at the time, but there's a phrase in kind of Quaker society, I found out later, that is like holding each other in the light, and it means to pray for each other and to lift each other up, and to kind of figure out ways to exalt the needs of others. And when I wrote this, I was thinking much more along the lines of this inner thing that's burning in us, that's saying that life is still available, and that joy is still available. And I created a piece called Hold the Light. And I want us all to just consider that going forward after today, we have a light inside all of us that we are holding for someone else, that illuminates, that brings a shine, that shows us a way out when we don't feel like there's anything but darkness. And we get to tap into that, whether we're young or whether we're old or somewhere in the middle, we still have something that makes someone smile. And if we lean into that, we'll get through this. I promise we will. So this is Hold the Light. When the darkness sets in and all the world becomes a quiet stage, when the streets hollow out, no horn or howl of bodies undulating through them, when the abyss of an evening seems to have swallowed us whole, and this year has twilight zone haze over all our best made plans, there is still a glimmer, one that whispers all is not lost, that takes us by the hand and says, look, on the horizon, there it is, shining still. When all seems devoured by shadow, you and I, we hold the light. The flicker in the void, the one that trades devastation for daybreak, that counts the hospital's hands as sanctuary, that remembers a full classroom without the fear, that counts every disturbance in the gulf and wishes for a pinhole between the storms. The essential gleam that rises early for its shift, that stumbles home late hoping all it brought home with it was its own luminescence. We hear the whisper of the invisible enemy's name, have known its hopelessness too. It wants to dim this light, but this sunburst in us is never truly gone. We hold the power to come back strong, to light a canvas or a street corner or a takeout sign, to show how selflessness shines, how compassion radiates, how resilience sits still, illuminating our chest. When darkness seems triumphant, when this year has pulled at all of our loose wires, we get to remind the world that we gleam, ever connected. We have enough power to scatter the abyss, to say, if I be my city's keeper, behind the mask, let me be a lamp. Let there be hope. Let there be a brilliant sun waiting on a new year horizon. Let us be a hand pressed to the glass, the heat rising through 6 feet of safety that reminds us that we are not an island, just a lost beam. And oh, how we will return. The way the moon cuts the night and gives us room to dance and breathe and bend again. There are still streets left to fill, still tables left to surround, still family left to hug, still stages waiting on a world to reawaken. If we remember that you and I, we hold the light. I'm wishing you all very, very happy holidays. I hope that you find family and safety, and that you find joy again, because it's still out there and it's beaming everywhere we are. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you so much, Deborah. And I want
Anytime.
everyone to know that Deborah D.E.E.P Mouton's performance will be available on our YouTube channel, the Dixon's YouTube channel, and on our website. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of Family Day. Thank you, Deborah.
Yay! Yay! Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.